Psychologist Carl Rogers said that the good life is a direction, not a destination. And Tony Robbins said that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I think if we combine those two quotes, we're getting at a concept that is quite profound, and it has to do with flow state. So let me explain. Most of my life, I was looking to the future for my happiness. And I don't think I'm alone in that. But I would always think, once I graduated high school, I'd be happy. Or once I got into college, I would be happy. Or once I got married, or bought the house, or bought a motorcycle, or bought the camera, or had kids, that somehow I would finally find happiness, or that my life would finally be good enough once I was able to hit certain achievements or obtain certain things. I was never content with life as it was. What's funny, or not really funny, is that I never really had a critical thought on this. I never stopped to ask myself why I was never satisfied with what life was. That I was always looking to the future for my happiness. When I did get these things, when I did achieve things or hit certain milestones in my life, one of two things would happen. I would either move the goalposts down for happiness, I would push happiness further down, or I would get to the top of a ladder and realize that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall, like I was chasing the wrong thing. And this is getting at a psychological concept that psychologists call the hedonic adaptation, or some people have probably heard the term hedonic treadmill. And it's the idea that external changes or changes in circumstance have a fleeting, momentary effect on a person's happiness. That it's not long-term. So tying that back to the beginning, if we combine the two ideas, the two quotes at the beginning, that success requires fulfillment, true success requires fulfillment, and happiness, or the good life, is a direction, not a destination, then the foundation of happiness requires two things. It requires us to find fulfillment in the process, and it requires us to let go of our expectations or specific outcomes. And so if all of that is true, then we are happiest when we are pursuing happiness. And psychology would agree that it is true because it calls this the process of striving, or it's also known as flow state. And flow state is interesting because you're able to achieve flow state when you're actively engaged in a meaningful task that is taking you towards a goal. But the difference between flow state and just doing something else is that when you're in flow state, you're fully immersed in whatever you're doing. And when people are fully invested and fully engaged in a task, they often report high levels of happiness and fulfillment. And so that's what makes flow state interesting, is that the happiness that you find in that state of flow, it's resistant to the hedonic adaptation. It's resistant to the hedonic treadmill because you're finding value and purpose and deep meaning in the process. And it keeps you from relying so much on an outcome. And it's able to do that, and flow state is able to achieve that state of happiness because you are no longer putting your happiness on an outcome. The means have become the end. That whatever you're doing is no longer a means to an end. The means have become the end, if that makes sense. You're fully caught up and fully whole as you do whatever you're doing. And if that's the case, then it is itself, the process, the activity that you're doing is intrinsically motivating. That you are not relying on a specific outcome or an expectation that you have in order to find happiness, in order to find the fulfillment that we're all seeking. And so you no longer are seeking happiness, you are living it. And so I think that's what's so special about flow state, is that we are finding meaning in the process of striving, that we are finding happiness in the pursuit of happiness. And that's what's going to keep us off of the hedonic treadmill. And it's also an indicator that we're not on it if we're in flow state. And so I think that this whole process is going to keep us off the hedonic treadmill and lead to a longer lasting sense of fulfillment and happiness, because the hedonic treadmill keeps us wanting more and more and never satisfied. But when we're able to enter flow state, that is a key indicator that we are not on the hedonic treadmill, because we are finding purpose and meaning in what we're doing and not attaching ourselves to a specific outcome. Listen, what I'm trying to say is that when we are in flow state, we can know that we are not on the hedonic treadmill, because on the hedonic treadmill, we're never satisfied. We're always pursuing something more. We're never content. But if we're able to find purpose and meaning and fulfillment in the process, then we're going to have longer lasting happiness, because we're not attaching our happiness and our sense of fulfillment to a specific outcome. And as I've talked about before, expectations are premeditated resentments. So anyways, if that was interesting, let me know in the comments, hit the like button, stick around, and I'll catch you in the next video.